Welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. My name's Conor Williams, and this is the Nottingham Forest Everton preview, joined by Alan Feehely here. First of all, mate, how are you feeling for the Nottingham Forest game?
Pretty nervous. I think before the Villa game at the weekend, I was confident. I thought we'd win. I thought Villa were in a weak moment. I thought we'd, put the opening day defeat behind us and kind of, begin the season strongly. So the fact that we didn't do that, makes me worried going to this game. Obviously, Forest are a newly promoted team, made a lot of signings over the course of the summer, spent a lot of money, a lot of new faces have to gel together to kind of build a successful team this year. So I think that, it's a very important game for us. We have to win it, basically. I think if we don't win it, then we'll be a bit worried. And I think the pressure on Frank and on the club and just in general, the kind of atmosphere will take a bit of a dive, and things will begin to get a bit nervous again. So I think it's a really important game for us for sure.
Yeah, obviously you've mentioned that Nottingham Forest have a few new faces. Their transfer window's been really interesting to look at. I don't think I can remember the last time that a newly promoted club spent this type of money. Obviously, the more you spend as well, the more pressure you invite on. And no discredit to Steve Cooper, but these are quite creative players for a man who I think it's fair to say is quite pragmatical in his approach. Just give me your thoughts on their summer, and do you see it working for them, these creative players in his system?
Well, it's hard to know, I guess, because I remember Fulham a couple of years ago did the same. They signed loads of players and brought in loads of new faces, and it didn't work for them, obviously. But then the next year they came up again and didn't sign anybody, and it didn't work again. So I think that Nottingham Forest, with the squad they have, it's a championship squad, and a lot of the players who were important for them last season have left, so they had to spend this market. Now, it's remarkable how much they've spent and how many players have brought in because, if you look at their net spend, I think it's 120 million or something like that. And La Liga, for instance, has a net spend outside the top two clubs of 4.7 million euro combined. So, the money they're spending and how they're spending it and the players they're attracting is remarkable and shows the strength of the Premier League in comparative to other European leagues. Like, Real Betis, for instance, are playing Europa League football this year. They were trying to get Hassan Moore, they couldn't land him, and now it seems Forest going to land him. So it's quite remarkable, really. I think it's very difficult to tell. I think that the fact that it's their first season back in, almost, as a 3 decades, coupled with the fact that, the city, the red half of the city seems to be completely behind them. The atmosphere of the ground seems to be really good. It was impressive at the weekend against, who were they playing against the weekend? Sorry. Was it their opening day? West Ham, against West Ham at City Ground. So it's gonna be hard to tell. And unfortunately, I think a game like Saturday afternoon at 3:00 would be a good measure for them, because if they can beat us, I get a point, and put up a good performance, then you'll say, okay, they're really here for to be taken seriously. And conversely, if we were to lose that game, it would be a very, very dangerous thing for us. So it's going to be an interesting game from both sides, I'd say, on Saturday.
Yeah, I agree. I've got this sneaking feeling it's going to be a really tough game. I think their first game, if I'm not mistaken, might have been Newcastle. It took Shaw scoring that wonder goal to sort of break them open. And then, like you said, West Ham, who I believe, I didn't watch the game, but I've got a couple of friends who support West Ham, and a couple of neutrals who would argue that West Ham should have probably come out with more than that, and were on top for large parts. Which always makes me think it means the team they're against is really well defensively set up. So it could be very hard for us to break down. One of the big talking points is our lack of creativity, but this season it's a lack of striker as well due to Dominic Calvert-Lewin. We've been playing Gordon and Gray up there. One of them is rumoured to be leaving potentially. Got Dele Alli on the bench, rumoured to be leaving. Yeah, it's a very, very interesting way to go into it. On the striker point, would you sort of say now's the time we need to play Rondon because he's an out and out 9?
Yeah, definitely. I think that we look better when he came on at the weekend, coupled with Amadou Onana as well. I think they both kind of added a bit of physicality and directness where what was otherwise lacking. Really, I think that the likes of Gray and Gordon are good footballers. They can offer a lot, but they're not good enough to carry a kind of false 9 approach, especially against a more physical team like Nottingham Forest. and defensively organised team in Nottingham Forest. You want to sit in a low block and be hard to break down. I think it's imperative, and like I really think it's important to bring in another striker before the season and before the transfer season is over. I think, you know, Armand Broja will probably be my preference. I like him a lot. I like his kind of character as well, the way he plays. I think even Ellis Sims, he scored 3 goals for Sunderland so far this season, I think. So I'm questioning that decision to leave him go, because when the only other striker you have in your squad is, you know, Salomon Rondon, it's just not a good way to go into a season, especially when Dominic Calvert-Lewin isn't as reliable in terms of a fitness record as other players. So yeah, I'm worried about it for sure. I thought we looked quite blunt in the opening 2 games, aside from when Onana came on. So hopefully there'll be, you know, more contribution from the midfield, but also, you know, I think sometimes having a striker in that number 9 role holding up the play can be very big, because he can bring in other players. He can pull their defense apart a little bit. So maybe having him there, he might not score, but he might open the space for Gordon or for Gray to score. So hopefully that's the case.
Yeah, and I think we've, like you said, we've seen that in the first 2 games already. I remember, I think it was the first game, there's a ball that goes into Anthony Gordon, or it might have been, yeah, I think it was the first Chelsea game. Ball goes into Gordon. If it's Dominic Calvert-Lewin, that's a goal, because it's a heading chance that he's just too small for. And then watching Gordon play with his back to the defenders he's not that type of player. I think it's fair to say that his strengths are running at people. So I think a striker is almost definitely something we need. You mentioned Onana. Obviously, the midfield at Everton as well is looking a bit sparse now because of Decore picking up an injury. Do you think we could see a full debut from Onana, or do you think he's going to maybe bring Alan back into the fold?
No, I think he'll start with Nana. I think it's going to be Onana and Ghana. I mean, sorry, Jesus, Ghana. Onana and Obi, sorry. I think that's going to be the case, yeah. I think it's going to be the same kind of, you know, 3 at the back system maybe, with the 2 lads in that midfield. But I think having a third centre back, especially somebody like Conor Coady, does not negate the need for a holding midfielder, but it does kind of lessen it, especially against a team like Nottingham Forest, who aren't going to really put you under that much pressure over the course of the game. So I think that it makes sense for me to start Onana in this game for sure. And I hope he does, because he looked really, really good when he came on. Obviously, he gave away the ball for their second goal, but I think he recovered well. I think he brought so much to the team going forward, so much, you know, urgency, confidence, kind of a direct nature. I really like the look of him, so I hope he starts for sure. And I think Obi was good too. I think Obi was probably the best player on the pitch for Everton at the weekend. I think he's been really, really good in the central role. He's done really well under Frank Lampard as well. So I think that would be the starting pair in midfield for sure. Although I saw a report today that the Ghana Gay deal could go over the line sooner rather than later. So maybe he'd be the match day squad for Saturday. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't think he'll start probably, but I think he will also be a good addition to the squad moving forward for sure. Should have happened.
Yeah, when you said his name then in the slip, I was going to bring this up. It is rumoured that he might play a part. I think the wording is play a part. When I did the news video before, I was saying I don't even know if that playing a part could just mean he gets announced on the day in the stands. But it'd be a lot better if he could play, because he already would improve our midfield quite a bit, and he'd probably be our most defensive minded player. You mentioned Conor Coady. Obviously, Ben Godfrey getting injured the first game of the season, out for about 3 months, if I'm not mistaken. So we probably are going to see Conor Coady. What was your thoughts on the transfer when we announced him? Obviously, he doesn't hide any fact of the fact that he supports Liverpool, but his son's in the academy. And Wolves fans were a bit mixed when he went. Some were gutted they lost their leader. Others didn't seem that fussed. What did you think of Coady? Do you think it's a wise one?
Yeah, I was happy with it. I think that like sending him on loan with the option to buy in the summer is kind of a low risk for us, because if he succeeds in the way we hope he does, we can buy him. If not, we don't have to. I think he's 29. He brings, you know, a lot of experience, leadership, confidence, and kind of that scout's nature that you have to have at a club like Everton. Obviously he's a Red, but like there's so many stories of characters who were Reds playing for Liverpool, for Everton, and who were Blues playing for Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? It's just always been the case. Robbie Fowler, Ian Rush, Jamie Carragher. You know, there's countless examples. I think even Anthony Gordon was a childhood red, right? So
Yeah,
I don't think it matters. I think that professional pride comes into it. And I think that also if you're a red or a blue, you understand the other side of the coin very well. So I think that, Conor probably understands Everton better than a Londoner would. Do you know what I mean? So I think he can almost connect to that fan base in a better way than than an outsider would be able to. I think he offers a lot. I mean, I know people say he can't play in a back four, but I think that um the back three system we're playing right now, he's the ideal center position player, being able to kind of step into midfield when he needs to and be surrounded by two strong center backs if they're available and fit. I think also the reason he left Wolves wasn't just because of the fact that he wasn't ideally suited to the new back four that Bruno Lage was playing, but also because, he's a captain, he's been there for years, he's put in good service to the club. It's a World Cup year, he wants to go to the World Cup, he wants to be in the squad. And so sitting in the bench at Molyneux, I think it was only his second game he missed in 3 years or something like that, isn't what he needs right now. Whereas going to Everton and being an important player, living nearby in Widnes, I think it is, it
yeah.
just makes perfect sense for him. So I think it's a really good move for both parties, and I'm happy with it for sure. I think characters like him are what we need really at the club.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Peter Reid also a very notorious one to mention the supporting one side for the other. Got to get that in because there'll be older viewers watching absolutely screaming Peter Reid at the screen. Um, you mentioned the back 3-5. I've seen a couple of people already just with the lack of a defensive midfielder that obviously Idrissa Gana Gueye is going to fill the hole of. Sort of argue maybe go back to the 4-3-3 just to fill the midfield while we're waiting for that one to come through. What are your thoughts? Do you like the 3/5 and sort of it's just a matter of just needing a few more pieces for the puzzle? Or do you think it's wiser to go back to the 4-3-3, which we saw a bit of success with last season?
It's a tough one. I mean, I prefer playing four at the back for sure. But I think that the style they're playing this season with the two flying fullbacks, of Patterson and Mikalenko breaking forward quite often, is better suited to a back three than a back four, if that makes sense, because I think it gives them more protection. Also, I think that, Ghana is obviously a very good player, Champions League footballer, but I don't see him as that classic defensive sitting midfielder. Like I've always seen him more as a guy who puts out fires, who runs around and makes challenges, that kind of thing. Like I can't remember ever really sitting for Everton. Do you know what I'm saying? So I don't think he's a classic number six. In the same way, I don't think Onana is either. Onana is more of an eight, more of a player who will break forward. So I'm still not sure we have that player who would just sit in front of the defense and screen it and negate the need for the back three. I think Everton's defensive fragility this season and last season makes me still nervous when we're playing in a back four, especially when you look at the makeup of our squad, the structure of the profiles we have there. I just think that for the time being, Franco will continue with a back three because I think it makes more sense. Even though I think ideally his position will be to pivot to a back four. That's what he wants to do, it's he wants to play. But I think it needs to be from a position of greater strength than we have at the moment. So my answer is basically, while I like to see that happen, I don't think it will in the short term at least.
Yeah, I must admit I can't see him defaulting unless his back was against the wall because I think he tried it last season and didn't really want to default to a four at the back till he had to. I'm gonna have to, I know this is a bit tough because there's outgoings rumored everywhere here. I'm going to ask you to give your predicted lineup. Obviously, there are a number one in particular that might be out of the way by then or might not appear because he's meant to be handing in a transfer request, supposedly. So give me your 11 as best as you can.
Okay. I reckon it'll be Pickford in goal, obviously. Mikalenko and Patterson in two fullback positions. Tarkowski, Coady, and Holgate as centre back. Onana and Iwobi in central midfield. And then Gray and Gordon playing off of Rondon. That's what I reckon the team will be. I think it's not that it picks itself, but I think it's the logical way to go. I think you made a good point earlier. I think with Alan, he could come in for sure and just sit there a bit. But I think he's going to go for Onana. I think starting Onana would be wise because it would give the crowd a bit of a lift, and we need that kind of environment. So that's the team I'd like to see start, and that's the team I think will start as well.
Yeah, I agree. Unless something massively happens with the Gordon development, I do see that being the lineup. And like you said, maybe Alan could come in, but I'd much prefer him to start Onana as well, just because I think as Alan's getting older, his energy's not there as much. Last season, we saw it in parts, and I think Onana just is a bit more. He's a bit younger. He's got a bit more energy. And like you've already mentioned, he's a bit like an eight at times. He can break forward. I think he would much more suit it. I think if you're going to play those like the two, you need leg work, and I think those two will offer it the best. Um, Give me a score prediction for the game. How do you think this is going to go?
I'll say 2-1. 2-1. 2-1. I reckon it'll be
I
two
assume
one
to us.
to us. Yeah, I think so. I think we'll win. I think like I hope we'll win. I wouldn't say I think we'll win, but like no, I mean I'm an optimist by nature, so I think we'll put in a good performance, a strong performance. I think that the way the first two games panned out is obviously negative and disappointing, but I think that I don't think we're going to lose this game and go into that spiral, if that makes sense. I think we'll win the game relatively comfortably. Maybe some good performances. I think Patterson will step up again. He's been good so far this season, I think. I think Iwobi could score. I think Onana could really contribute. And I could see even, maybe Gordon scoring and, I don't know. Maybe he'll make a statement over his future after the game or something. Who knows? Who knows the story there? But like, yeah, I can see it happening. I can see Rondon creating space and then the likes of Gordon and Iwobi breaking forward and scoring. And then also, Patterson playing in off the right side. So yeah, I'll be hopeful of that.
Yeah, I hope so too. I think, like you said, the Chelsea game was always going to be a tough one at the start of the season. Villa, again, that one could have gone either way, I feel, and it unfortunately went the other way. Playing without a striker for those two is a bit tough. Yeah, I'm on the side of thinking with you, be optimistic. Once we play a proper number nine, like you said,
Yeah.
even if he doesn't score, he'll bring people in. And fair play. I know he gets this stick, and I for one have given him some stick because I don't think he's technically one of the best, but he does work, and he does run. I have to give it to him for that. He does run.
Yeah.
He might do it like he's wearing Timberlands, but he does run. So you know the effort's there. I can't fault the effort from him. And that we've had strikers like that before. That you can't lack their effort. But yeah, I hope so. I think it's going to be 1-0 to us. That's me going optimistic. I was going to say a draw, but I think hopefully we can sneak it. That is all we've got time for the preview. Thank you for coming on and speaking to me, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you.
No worries, Colin. Thanks for sorry, Jesus. No worries, Connor. Thanks for having me. It's very enjoyable, and I hope that my optimism doesn't backfire on me come the weekend.
Now you've said it, there's going to be comments going, "Oh, he said it now. He said it now. That's it." That's the only other thing when I come on. I'm like, never boldly say, "Oh, we'll beat them," because I'm like, what'll happen 2 days later. Like, it's always the
Yeah.
case. But don't forget to like the video, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. You can go follow Alan on Twitter. His links will be in the description down below. And comment down below your score predictions for the game. And I'll see you guys soon.